without 24/7, you know, on-call firefighters, you're not going to have the same response time that's consistent throughout the day. You'll have good response during the weekdays, which obviously whenever you've got people at the station that can leave right away, that's always a plus. But if you go back to the way we had before, then you're going to rely on volunteer response. And the volunteer response issues, first of all, it's time. No matter what volunteer fire department you're dealing with, they've got to get from their home or their location to the station and then leave. And that's extra time in responding to an emergency. That's common for the entire county, but it's been a real benefit for the community here in Sealy to be able to have that instant or almost instant response time within a minute to be able to leave after hearing a call. Time is of the essence. Anybody that has an emergency, when they're calling 911, they're having a bad day. It's a bad thing for them and their family or people around them, and they need a response. They need help. And that's what this is all about. And the quicker you get help in these situations, the better off you're going to be. So that's what you're trading off. And that's as a commissioner that I saw, and as a volunteer firefighter, and as a citizen of this community, I saw the real benefit of having that better response time for such a, what I consider a very trivial amount of money. It's a real value to be able to have that at the cost we're talking about. 3 cents a hundred increase in taxes. That's, what is that, $30 a year for a $100,000 house? I mean, $30 a year when you're having a crisis, when you're having an emergency, when someone needs help in your family or a scene that you're at. I could find $30 pretty quick. It's difficult in this day and age to find volunteers, and not just volunteers in the fire service, but volunteers at church, at scouts, at baseball. People's lives are different than they were 30 years ago. Our society is different than the way it was 30 years ago. And finding the time to be able to be a volunteer firefighter, it's a challenge. It really is. It's very rewarding. Make no mistake about that. But having the time to do it, it's difficult to find people to be able to invest that kind of time. Not just in responding, but in the training. And that was the reason we started out as an ESD commissioner, as the president of the commissioners several years ago. That's where we first went towards getting the paid crew during the weekday. We just didn't have enough responders available during that time, during the day, and sometimes in the evenings as well. So another good reason to invest that $30 per $100,000 of property value per year to be able to ensure that you do have good response. I know how the radio traffic is with dispatch for emergency medical services, the EMS as well as fire. And I know that there are times that our county gets pretty busy. We have a lot of medical calls, and it's a 30-minute run into Houston or back to Katy for these ambulances to take people to medical care, to a hospital. And during that time, we're short. We don't have an ambulance, and if the ambulance from Sealy is going to Katy, then that means that an ambulance from Belleville or Wallace or some other part of the county will have to come to serve the next call in Sealy if it happens while the medic is out into Katy. The benefit of having these paid crew, this paid firefighters on call 24/7 is just about every one of those fellows are paramedics as well. And they have the equipment or getting the equipment on the truck now to be able to respond just as if they were medic too here in Sealy, the ambulance here in Sealy. Same equipment, same capabilities. They can't transport, but they can be there to help until an ambulance does arrive for transport. Again, that's a real value. If you're having a heart attack and you need help right away, if you're not breathing, you've got 4 minutes if you're not breathing, before you start seeing your lack of blood flow causing damage to your brain. Again, $30 a year per 1,000. It's a good value to have that backup. Having this paid crew, having these professionals on duty 24/7 to be able to respond immediately to an emergency has saved lives, has saved property, and in the future could help you. It's the right thing to do. It's for the money that we're talking about, and the protection and the service that you're getting. It is one of the best values you'll ever see from any kind of taxing authority, in my opinion. I'm passionate about it. Of course, I'm obviously passionate about it, but it's something that I think that if you look at it, think about it, even just for a few minutes, it'll make a lot of sense to you. I'd say vote yes.